Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you right there. I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. In this live stream, I am going to spend a little bit of time talking about some X-Men and X-Men related books that could go up in value based upon some things that are about to happen with Jonathan Hickman's House of X and Power of X. And I am honestly putting my money where my mouth is when it comes to these books because I've either I own these books in the past. I recently, went out and picked them up, or just today. I may or may not have just gotten off of eBay buying some of these books. So I want to give you guys a heads up on some of these books, as well as some other things that I've kind of learned over the last little bit of time. I want to share this stuff with you guys. I don't know what's going to happen in the future with any of these books. I don't know. This is all speculation. It is all fun just to kind of think about and think and pontificate about. So I want to share this information because I think it's fun to do it. Whether these books will go up in value, I don't know. That is just being completely honest with you guys. But I found it interesting that Marvel did a couple of things that they're doing that we'll actually talk about. And then it's up to you to decide what you want to do with the information, because some of you may or may not have come across this. So let me say hello to some people here in the room first, and then we're going to get into this thing. And what I'll do is do the disclaimer again, because I know more people will come in. So I want to make sure that I put the disclaimers on all of this stuff so that no one's feelings are hurt and you guys don't hate me for some reason or another. So my man Barry Comics is in here. He's like, yo, Perry Comics, how you doing, brother? Super Honorable Nephew is in the house. Beta Ray Comics, how you guys doing? Rye is in the house. The Mighty Comics guy, how you doing, my friend? It is good to see you guys. He said, I hope it's not hot garbage. Perry, you're a nut, my friend. If you guys aren't checking out Perry Comics, you definitely want to do that. Walker Payne is in the house. How you doing, my friend? Vika is here. Vika, how you doing? He says he is busy with the cleanup, but he is able to listen in. So thank you, Vika, for hanging out with me just a little bit, brother. And I'm gonna reach out to you if I remember. I may not remember, but I may reach out to you and talk about some stuff that's going on. So scrolling through, Gold Gauntlet Comics is in the house. How you doing? Finally got on during a hangout. Yep, we are definitely, it's going down here. Okay, it is going down. We are making all this stuff up as we go. There was no show prep. There was a couple of thoughts rattling around in my head. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go live, because I thought maybe I'd do it as a pre-recorded video. And I'm like, forget about it. Just a Little Podcast is in the house. How you doing? He says, hello from Toronto, Canada. Comics Bros is in the house. Matt Gray is here. Young T is in the house. Geek Aficionado is here. Says sorry that he's late, brother. You are not late. You are on time. Hawaiian Punch in your face. How you doing, my friend? It is always good to see you. I Like Donuts is here. Good as Gold is in the house. Joe is here. Poncho, how you doing, my friend? Connecting Comics is here. And Tope Daddy, I think that's how you say that. I want to welcome all you guys, all of these comic book soldiers up in here hanging out for just a little bit. I definitely appreciate you guys hanging out. So I'm going to be honest with you. I am extremely jealous of everyone that is at San Diego Comic-Con, because it looks like people are having a lot of fun down there. I have been living vicariously through the various posts that people have been putting up on the Instagram, and I am, I'm a hater right now. I honestly hope folks are enjoying themselves down there, man, because it looks like a whole lot of fun. So I probably should have gone. I actually looked at my wife this morning and she was like, go get on a plane. And no, we are not going to get on the plane. Maybe next year. Maybe next year I will actually plan to attend, because it looks like people are having a lot of fun. So here's the thing. I wanted to provide some updates on some X-Men and X-Men related books that potentially could go up in value. And I don't know what the future holds for any of these books, but I wanted to bring it to people's attention just in case they had not thought about these things, just in case they did not see the book that I'm about to show you in just a couple of moments. Well, let me show you now. This is the book right here. This is X-Men, The Seeds of Tomorrow, Jonathan Hickman's X-Men Revealed. And this is basically like a preview magazine that was available free yesterday as part of New Comic Book Day. It actually goes over some tidbits from House of X and Powers of 10, which I believe drop very soon, possibly even next week. I am super pumped about what is going to happen in these two books. And I'm excited because the X-Men are back, and it appears that the X-Men are back with like a vengeance. This thing actually starts off with this wonderful letter from Jonathan Hickman. There was one typographical error in here, but don't let that distract you. It's actually a really, really wonderful letter that he wrote. And in this letter, he says a couple of things, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But what I want to say is this video is all speculation. I am speculating based upon things that I'm seeing here on some books. And I am putting my money where my mouth is. I either own these books I'm going to be talking about. I am trying to get these books, or I may have just ordered them off eBay. Just being completely honest and completely transparent with you guys. I am an X-Men fan, and I had already started picking up some of these books anyway. But then when I saw this issue, the X-Men Seeds of Tomorrow, it actually accelerated a couple of things that I didn't even know about. So that's part of the reason why I want to bring this to you all's attention, is because it looks like Jonathan Hickman is about to lay a foundation. And we've spoken about this before, about to lay an incredible foundation that will guide the X-Men well into the future. And one of the things that we had actually debated previously, and we didn't know, but we were kind of playing around with it, was how long would Jonathan Hickman actually be on the X-Men? And basically from this information, from this document that was released by Marvel yesterday, it appears that Jonathan Hickman is actually going to be on this title for quite some time. At least that's what this thing says. He says, I'm not going anywhere for the next several years. This is the beginning of big things. And when he wrote this, we don't know the date, but he says at the beginning, so I was walking into the Marvel offices on the day I was supposed to present the X-Men's plans to all the writers and editors at a Marvel retreat. And about halfway to the office, I realized I had a stupid grin on my face. I'm guilty of that. Guilty of that. He says, now, normally I'm all business when pitching because the room is full of jackals and things can go sideways pretty quickly. But on that day, there was no chance of me maintaining any sort of game face. I was having too much fun. And to be completely honest, the fun, the joy of writing the X-Men hasn't stopped any time since then. And he goes on in this thing to say, I'm not going anywhere for the next several years. This is the beginning of big things. So will he have a run like Chris Claremont, 17 years? Who knows? But it's not going to just be the House of X, Powers of X, 6-part or 12 issues or whatever we believe that it to be. It seems like he is going to be laying a foundation that will keep him involved with the X-Men for years to come. So that's one important thing. The other important thing that I noted in here was that it is indeed the powers of 10. And I don't yet know what powers of 10 alludes to, but I think they said all will be revealed as to why it is powers of 10. So I think it's House of X and powers of 10. And I think I've been saying that. I've been saying that from the beginning. So I wanted to put that out there because there was a little bit of debate about that as well. There's actually a really nice FAQ in here if anyone has a chance to pick this thing up. So let me scroll through. Zora is here. How you doing, brother? Did Chris Claremont ever get back into the X-Men, or was that a rumor? I didn't remember that one. So Gold Gauntlet Comics says, I hope he pulls it off, as do I. So again, I picked this thing up, and what was really cool about this is that they actually have a couple of excerpts from what I think might be issue 1, but don't hold that to me. They were a little cryptic about that. But one of the things that I noticed here was that they started talking about Krakoa. And if you guys remember, Krakoa was that living island that I believe appeared in X-Men 1. It is where, and I'm gonna get my history jacked up here, so I'm gonna be careful, but it is the island where the X-Men were. There is a couple of pages here at the beginning of this thing where mutants are being transported to Krakoa. And there is a Marvel girl here says, the plan is for most of the younger mutants to live in the habitat near the lagoon, but they're really aren't any rules regarding that. So if you see somewhere else you'd rather be, it's perfectly fine. So it seems to me that the mutants from everywhere are being transported, being teleported to Krakoa to basically live. And so I don't know that we've seen Krakoa in quite some time. At least I don't recall it. And so there is actually a book. It is Journey into Mystery, like Return to Krakoa or something like that, that I just picked up. It actually is the origin of the island. And I have X-Men 1, but I did not have this Journey into Mystery #1, the Krakoa book. So I went out and picked up multiple copies of that because it seems like Krakoa could be where the X-Men might be having their utopia. They may be living there. And so I wanted to pick that up. One of the other things that struck me is that, and I don't know if you guys saw this thing, how many variants will there be? 1 million variants. I don't know if you guys have seen this image before. When I saw this, for some reason or another, I actually thought that that was Cyclops. And I don't know why, but I always thought this image right here, if you guys can see that, was actually Cyclops. And what I realized as I was reading this excerpt is that that is actually Professor X. That is actually Professor X. It is actually revealed here that it is Professor X, and he's hanging out with a hairy guy who's known as Logan. But what's interesting is this glance right here. I don't know if you guys can see this. There is a glance right there on the bottom panels between Marvel Girl and Professor X that looks very interesting to me. It's a very interesting look, if you can see that down there. I don't know. And Charles looks to be a whole lot younger than we remember him to be. And so I'm wondering if there is going to be some kind of romantic relationship between Marvel Girl and Professor X. So that could be something that we want to keep an eye on. And then there's this very interesting panel here where Charles Xavier is basically sitting in Lincoln's chair, which I find fascinating. And if you look all around him, it is basically remnants or tendrils, if you will, of Krakoa. And so it's almost like, again, that this is a mutant society that has been set up on this island, that the only people that can transmit or transport to it are mutants. And if not a mutant, then they have to be accompanied by a human. And in those cases, they even have to ask permission. So it seems like Krakoa is going to play an important role in Jonathan Hickman's new X-Men. And now here's what's really fascinating about this. And I've said this before, Jonathan Hickman is laying a foundation that will be used in the MCU. And so the books that we're talking about, the foundation that he's laying, the things that we are seeing play out potentially in House of X and Powers of X will be seen on the screen. And that's kind of why I'm raising the attention here of some of the things that I'm actually seeing here. There may be a mutant society out there. And here's the thing. Remember, we haven't seen mutants in the MCU. So do they not exist? Or have they always been there, but we just haven't seen them? So if they are on an island known as Krakoa, and the only way to get there is to be accompanied by a mutant, then potentially that is why we have not seen mutants in the MCU. The foundation potentially for how the mutants are going to be introduced into the MCU could be getting laid as we speak. So if you guys aren't picking up these issues, you may want to consider. Gold's Gauntlet is like Professor X and his underage love. So what is the Just a Little Podcast is asking, what is the first appearance of Krakoa? The first appearance, I believe, for the island of Krakoa is X-Men #1. And I'm actually going to try to pull up Key Collector here real quick to confirm some of that. Let me make sure that I get this correctly. I believe that it is X-Men 1. And then I believe that there is a Journey into Mystery. I believe there is a Journey into Mystery comic that actually goes into the origin of the island of Krakoa. So again, these are some things that we might want to check out and investigate. All right. So let me do this real quick. All right. So oh, I stand corrected. All right. It is not. And I'm glad we looked that up. It is actually not X-Men #1. It is Giant Size X-Men. Giant Size X-Men #1 is, let me make sure, the first appearance of Krakoa, the Living Island. That book, for a lot of people, is already out of reach. So we're not even focused on that the same way we're not really focused on some of the early X-Men books like X-Men 1 and X-Men 3, because many of those are out of reach as well. But what I did pick up today was this Journey into Mystery, The Birth of Krakoa #1. And this book is right now selling for about $5 according to Key Collector. It is the origin of Krakoa. So if you can't get the first appearance, which is Giant Size X-Men #1, you can get Journey into Mystery, The Birth of Krakoa #1. So that is the origin book for that. So you may want to check that out. All right. Gray is saying Giant Size X-Men is a little more realistic. Giant Size X-Men is by far the superior first issue versus X-Men #1. X-Men #1 is not good. Giant Size X-Men is the bomb, and I own both. And I'm telling you, if you've ever read them, Giant Size X-Men is much, much better. And I think it's a really fantastic story. So Krakoa is definitely a book that you want to look into getting if you can. Scrolling through this book here, there's a lot of other things that are mentioned here in this book. There are a lot of first appearances that are being seen. Actually, before I get to that, I'm not sure who Apocalypse is dating, but love seems to be in the air. There is Apocalypse in some woman. I can't make out who she is based upon the uniform. She's not even wearing a uniform, to be honest with you. She has a beret on and a skirt and a pair of shoes. So yeah. Apocalypse has a love interest, I guess. So that'll be interesting to actually watch that play out. But in this book, they also do something really cool. They have this panel right here, actually a spread. It is a spread of the roster of characters that I guess are going to be in House of X, Powers of X. You guys couldn't even see that. My bad. Lower that just a little bit. It is actually a spread of characters that are going to be in these two books and moving forward. And in many cases, they actually have question marks by some of the characters who are essentially unknown, like this character right here, who appears to be similar to Nightcrawler in some respects. They call him the Priest, but in some of the panels, he actually looks like Nightcrawler to me with a couple of toes and looks like 3 fingers, pointy ears. He's red instead of like bluish black. But there's some interesting characters that are in here. Actually, 32. This woman right here, 32. Oh, that is Maura McTaggart. Wow. Apocalypse is kissing Maura McTaggart. That's who the love interest appears to be for Apocalypse. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, on this spread that I just showed you guys, there's a bunch of question marks for a lot of the characters where they're not revealing who these characters are. And then on the next couple of pages, as you guys hopefully will be able to see, they're actually showing some early sketches from some of the characters that are going to be introduced, and they have redacted some of the language and stuff like that, which, you know, it's all good. I mean, it's all made up to draw us in. But you can see on this last panel here, that is that character that appears to be a little bit like Nightcrawler, couple of fingers, couple of toes right there. So definitely some interesting stuff. My guess is that these first couple of books will have a lot of first appearances in them, which I think potentially bodes well. But now to the question here, Matt Gray says, sounds like Nightcrawler to me. Yep. Midtown Steel has Journey into Mystery Krakoa issue for cover price. Eddie's Mullet, I actually picked up 3 copies of it myself, to be honest with you. Right before I went on, I went out and picked up 3 copies of that. So yeah, new video just dropped at 3:30, always at 3:30. So here, now getting to the question at hand of which books potentially could go up in value. I don't know about any of these. I'm putting them out there for you guys to look into and think about for yourselves. The Krakoa Journey into Mystery, I think, is one that folks want to look at. I'm going to focus on those that may be more affordable, right? So this is the cast of characters that Marvel included in this free issue. And with each one of these characters, my guess is that they're going to be involved in some way, shape, or form in the stories that are coming out. And what they put here is look for these mutants and more in House of X and Powers of 10, and check out the spread below for each of their first appearances. So Marvel is pointing us to these characters and the first appearances, which I think is fantastic. The most controversial one on this entire spread here is Wolverine. And it's controversial because they are saying that Wolverine's first appearance is Incredible Hulk 180. This is directly from Marvel. They are laying it on the line, and they are saying Hulk 180 is the first appearance of Wolverine. So that's going to be controversial, I think, especially in light of Never mind. It's going to be controversial. So let's look at some of the characters and some of the first appearances that you guys may want to consider. So one of them is a character called Destiny. Destiny appeared in 1963 in X-Men number 141. I haven't had a chance to look this book up, but maybe someone out there actually could. But Destiny X-Men 1963 issue number 141 is a character that has been identified. Penance is another character that has been identified, and Penance actually appeared in Generation X in 1994. I actually happen to have, I think, 2 copies of this in my collection. This is Generation X, a shiny foil cover featuring the first appearance of Penance. Next up, we have Exodus. Exodus appeared in X Factor number 92. I don't think there's very many X Factor books that are very expensive. Gold Gauntlet was like, oh no, there goes the value of all the 181. Grant, all right, before we go on, so a couple of people are asking. So there is a tremendous amount of controversy between Hulk 180 and 181. Technically, Hulk 180 is the first appearance of Wolverine. That's where he actually appeared in a couple of panels in costume in Hulk 180. The value of 180 pales in comparison to the value of Hulk 181. In 181, he appears not just in a panel or 2, but he appears throughout the book and also on the cover. So the people are like, if he appeared in 180, that should be his first appearance. Thus, the value of 180 should be high. That is not the case. And if you go back to my channel, somewhere on there, I've done a video or 2 on this controversy, but it is a controversial topic. If you look up the values of 180 versus 181, they are not even close. Not even close. So there's a tremendous amount of controversy there. I'm not even a Wolverine fan, and I've been saying that for years. Does that mean the first appearance of Venom? Yeah, and I mean, again, these are the debates. These are the debates that comic book collectors have all the time. And I think Comic Tom actually has a whole series. I've never watched it, called True First. I've never watched it, to be honest with you, but you guys may want to check that out. I also have a couple of, first videos on my channel. All right, so we've done Penance in Generation Iron. Exodus, X Factor number 92. This is another character that potentially will have a high profile in House of X and Powers of X. Next is where we're going to go. Let's go here. Sebastian Shaw. Sebastian Shaw is an underrated character, I think. Underrated character. He appeared in 1963 in X-Men 129. I'm not sure of the value of that, but I'm guessing it's somewhat low. So Sebastian Shaw, X-Men 129. I'm skipping over some of the more expensive books, to be honest with you. Another character based upon what I've already shown you and his, I guess, love interest with Maura McTaggart, possibly even a love triangle if she's still involved with Charles. That could be interesting. Apocalypse appeared in X Factor number 5, which dropped in 1986. Scrolling through some of these here, we have Emma Frost. Emma Frost actually appeared. She was a bad guy. 1963 issue 129. She also appeared with Sebastian Shaw. They are appearing in the same issue, that being X-Men number 129. I think they were part of the Hellfire Club, if memory serves. We have Husk. Husk is a character. I don't know why. She appeared in ROM Annual number 3. ROM Annual number 3 from 1982, Husk. I actually just ordered this book off of eBay a short while ago. Pyro appeared in X-Men number 141. The Stepford Cuckoos appeared in New X-Men number 118. I actually just ordered New X-Men 118 as well, because I did not have that book in my collection. Scrolling through, 129 was First Kitty Pryde to Pretty High. Is that the one where she's, I gotta go back and look, because I think I have a couple of the Kitty Prydes. I have the one where she quit right in front of me on the wall here, but I think I have her first appearance as well. Mr. Comics is asking, where did I get that free issue? I got this right from the comic shop, bro. One of you guys actually told me about this on Tuesday. I reached out to my comic shop. I asked them to hold me a copy. On Wednesday, I went by, I snagged it. And a short while ago, I actually read it. And I'm actually reading from the very last panel in this book. And so I'm highlighting the first appearances of some characters that may have some pretty significant roles to play moving forward in House of X and Powers of X that you guys may want to check out. All right. So Pyro is Uncanny X-Men 141. The Stepford Cuckoos is New X-Men number 118. I think that 118 is like $4. I actually just ordered that one as well. Mystique appears in Miss Marvel number 16 from 1977. Scrolling through, Mr. Sinister appeared in Uncanny X-Men 221. I actually have a couple of copies of that in my collection, and one of them is actually in a mystery box. I have 2 mystery boxes left. There is a Uncanny X-Men 221 in one of those mystery boxes. I don't know if it's one of the ones that has already been sent out or one of the 2 remaining, but there is an Uncanny X-Men 221 in there. This book is a little hot, but I want to read it off just the same because I think you can find copies of this book out there. Sabretooth's first appearance, Iron Fist from 1975, issue number 14. That's one of the first slab books that I bought a couple of years ago when I got back into the hobby. And that is it. That is basically it. The other books that are on here are things like X-Men 1, which is out of the reach for a lot of people. And that is like Professor X's first appearance. Who else? Beast first appearance, Marvel Girl, Cyclops. All of those characters had their first appearance in X-Men number 1, which is out of reach for a lot of people. Blob is mentioned here. He appeared in X-Men number 3, which I think is kind of out of the reach. The same with Toad. He is mentioned here. A little out of the reach for some people. So I want to, and then Angel is also in X-Men number 3. And then there's a lot of characters that are in Giant Size X-Men, like Nightcrawler, Storm, though that is 2 characters. And then I forgot Magneto. Magneto is also in X-Men number 1. So there you go. I think that's roughly like 10 or so books that could potentially go up in value. And I'm separating like the Giant Size X-Men and the X-Men number 1 from some of the other books that I read off that are literally like a couple of bucks. I mean, this book is probably like $1. This is Generation X number 1. One of the characters actually has her first appearance in this. This book is probably $1. And will this book go up in value? Who knows? I mean, it goes up in value for my buddy Whitewell Comics, who actually loves this thing right here. So, Matthew Shaw just hit up one of my shops, Hijinks Comics. He says he got ASM 21 for $26. Congrats on that. Gray says, since his first Kitty Pryde and Sebastian Shaw, he said you can't go wrong with that book. And again, with a lot of these, man, I don't think that you can go wrong if you're like an X-Men fan. Then these are books that you might want to pick up. That's part of the reason why I was picking up like the Mr. Sinister, for example. I had one. I think I went out and got like a 9.8 or something like that just recently because I was anticipating some of these things actually happening. And so the big thing here is that if Jonathan Hickman is laying a foundation for the MCU movies, and if this foundation does get sucked into the MCU, we know what's going to happen with books that have characters that appear in the MCU. Those books go up. Is it an absolute? No, it's not an absolute. But if it does happen, you definitely want to have these books in your collection before they start to, go on the rise and you're trying to play catch up. So shout out to Brian for sending me that super chat. You are very welcome, my friend. Again, I became aware of this book only because of one of you guys. Like, you guys literally send me messages all day, every day. Like, hey, have you heard about this? Hey, have you heard about that? Like the whole Wolverine thing right now with that actor that they're thinking about for the new Wolverine. I only find out about a lot of this stuff because of you guys. And so I think it's one of those things that because people tell me and because I have an ability to spread the word, I kind of spread the word. But you have to do your own research. You have to think about it yourself and you have to decide what it is that you want to do with your money. I am putting my money where my mouth is. I've already either owned these books or just picked these books up, or I'm on the hunt for something. Like, I don't have X-Men number 3. I like to have that first appearance of Blob. I don't have that one yet, but maybe one day. But there you go. That is basically the news of the day. Hopefully everybody was able to hear most of that stuff. And if not, you can always go back and watch the replay and listen to some of the nuggets that were dropped in there. So hopefully you guys can check it out. Mr. Sinister and Apocalypse first appearance were high at the time. They tanked back down in the movie. Yes, they did. So the Mr. Sinister, I think, has gone down a little bit. Apocalypse was kind of up and down for a while. But I bought that a while ago. Steve is in the house. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Welcome to the live stream. Derek says, been on the fence about Hulk 180, but just got a good deal on one. So hopefully, maybe since Marvel says it is the first appearance, it will go up a little. You know, here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you, Derek. The X-Men, I'm sorry, the Hulk 180, I don't know if this will change the opinions of collectors out there. Right? Because collectors have already decided that they value 180 over 181. Right? Sorry, let me reverse. That collectors have already decided that they value 181 over 180. That has already been decided. I don't know if Marvel saying it will change anything, to be honest with you. But as the values of 181 continue to go up, fewer people will be able to afford it. And as more collectors hopefully continue to come into the hobby as a result of, you know, people getting older, the movies coming out, maybe the second best option for a lot of people could be Hulk 180. So the values could go up because of that, not necessarily because of what Marvel says. The cart in some ways is already out of the barn with 181. So I don't think that this is going to change anything. But what I will say is congratulations for being able to pick up 180, especially for a good price. Because if you're talking about 180, you're talking about 181. They are both expensive, right? They're and I kick myself. I'm staring at my 180 right here, 7.0 on the wall in front of me. I wish that I had bought two. I wish that I had gone with a higher grade, but I was being cheap at the time. So I have a 7.0 and I could not, I'm happy with it, but I wish that I had the foresight to buy a higher grade or to buy multiple copies of it. But you may want to check out the video that I just dropped today at 3:30 because, you know, I'm just putting it out there. Robotech, how you doing, brother? He's saying X Factor and Alpha Flight keys are dirt cheap right now. Yes, they are. Yes, they are very cheap. I think I put like an X Factor 1 in one of the mystery boxes that I gave away this most recent time. But X Factor and Alpha Flight are two that are completely underrated, to be honest with you. So if you can get those, I think that people should snag those. Miss Marvel 16 for the first appearance of Mystique is still underrated. In his opinion, says Gray. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know if people really appreciate that Mystique is actually in Miss Marvel 16. I don't know that I did, to be honest with you. I assumed that she was in an X-Men book, that was her first appearance. So I'm not certain if people really appreciate that that Mystique appeared in Miss Marvel 16. So that could actually change some things, to be honest with you. That this could potentially bring some awareness that causes that book to actually spike up in value. And that's one that I did not look up before I went online. So don't buy it until after I get off and can go to eBay to get my own book. Oh, here's the thing. Go to Ebates, sign up for Ebates, go into Ebates once you sign up, then connect to eBay, buy your books that way. That way you get not just your eBay points, but you get your rebate from Ebates. If you are confused on any of that, click the links in the description. But I've been trying to do that more and more so I can actually save some money, get some money back kind of thing. So don't forget that stuff. Just a little podcast. You are very welcome, my friend. Happy shopping if you do decide to pick up some of these books. And if not, I appreciate you just kind of hanging out and being part of the live stream. Have No Fear Comics didn't know this X-Men stuff was happening. I put his X-Men 221 up for sale a few hours ago. Maybe, go high or pull it down. Right. I mean, because it depends on how people are going to do it. Personally, if a book is overvalued, I'm not buying it. Right. I'm hype or not, I'm not going to buy it. But you could pull it down and then see what happens to the values of the book and then post it back up then. Or you can leave it as is and have somebody buy it, knowing that you're probably going to make a little bit of money. It's up to you to see how you're going to handle it. Connecting Comment says he got a Miss Marvel 16 6.5. Thought it was a lot better when they sent it to get slabs. Oh yeah, that sucks. That sucks when you think it's going to be a higher grade, but 6.5 isn't bad. That's not bad. So don't feel bad about that, brother. Just a little podcast says he should never have sold his 181. I would have to agree with that. I would have to agree. My X-Men 205 first Hope Summers went for some reason. Wait a minute. went for some reason. I don't know. Oh, went up in value. So that Hope Summers, that cover, I want to say I actually sold mine. I actually got that off the rack and I believe that I sold it. I got to check the bin. That book, I want to say was a J. Scott Campbell cover, J. Scott Campbell variant. And that's part of the reason why that book was so hot. But it was a gorgeous cover. Part of me regrets selling it because I only had one copy of it. But that 205 Hope Summers is a dope cover. Dope cover. Scrolling through some of the comments, I missed a lot of them, so I have to apologize for that. Clay says he just picked up a bunch of X-Men in the last 2 months. Congrats on that, my friend. I've been buying stuff up, right? Since this whole House of X Powers of 10 has been announced, I've been buying up like some of the early X-Men stuff, just kind of in the background, slowly picking it up. Nothing crazy like with ASM, but I've definitely been picking some of this stuff up. Uh, Derek says, I agree on that wholeheartedly. Still getting 181 at some point, but I wanted Daredevil #1 first. I don't blame you for that. That Daredevil 1, man, if you, it's a nice book. It's a nice cover. Hopefully you're able to get one that's really clean, really white with vibrant colors, because when it's in really good gray, it is a sight to behold. It really is. And I actually picked mine up. I was giving some guy advice back in the day who was thinking about buying one. And I remember this. I was in the gym. The guy's messaging me. He's like, yo, Reg, thinking about getting this book. It's $600. Should I get it? And it was beat. It had rust on the staples. It had the back cover was slightly missing. And, my no-go zone is some of that stuff. But I was still like, still not a bad deal, my friend. But if you can find it at a high grade for an affordable price, Daredevil #1 is a gorgeous book. So good luck, my friend, tracking that down. Alzor, I think that's how you say that. Alzor 451. Hello to you from across the pond, my friend. Thank you for being part of the live stream that we're doing right here. Grant is saying, I definitely thought that Mystique premiered in an X-Men comic. It only makes sense, right? You would think she is, to me, like an X-Men character. But even let's think about it. So Mystique is closely aligned to Rogue. Rogue made her first appearance in an Avengers annual book, which, do I have it on the wall here? I don't. It was an Avengers annual book that doesn't even have her on the cover. I have the book and I've had it for a while and have I read that? I don't think that I've read it yet because it's an Avengers book. There are some things that just don't make sense, but it's like these characters get created, they're out there, and then some writer decides that he or she is going to pluck a cherry and then pull it into, and now that character becomes so ingrained with a different set of characters, and you just automatically assume that they were there forever when that's not necessarily the case. And I think we just identified a couple of characters in Mystique and Rogue who are X-Men characters quintessentially, but are definitely made their appearances outside of an X-Men title. So I find that very interesting. So cool stuff, though. She had one panel where she showed her real appearance. She has a real appearance? Really? You guys are going to make me buy that Miss Marvel book when I get off this camera. I may have to do that. Brother, Jason, no one's buying Power Pack, bro. No one. No one is buying Power Pack. Joking. So there are rumors out there that Power Pack is going to be made into a movie. I have never owned a Power Pack book. I'm going to be honest with you. I do own a comic that is back there with Wolverine on the cover with Power Pack. That is the closest that I've come to owning Power Pack related anything. But there's rumors out there that Power Pack is going to either have a movie or something like that. So don't poo-poo Power Pack, I guess. I don't know that that's something I'm going to buy, but super honorable nephew dropped the super chat. Definitely thank you for that, brother. He says I've seen high grade X Factor #6 on MCS for cheap. Well, there you go. Because I think that is still, I don't have mine on the wall. I don't think the X Factor 5 and X Factor 6 are affordable books. They really are affordable books, and you can actually get some decent grades of those books. So hopefully folks will seek those out and try to snap them up if they choose to. Alzor says it takes me out of town to actually catch one of your. I'm glad you were able to make the brother. I had somebody reach out to me yesterday. Somebody was like, yo, so Regie, when are you on live? I want to be able to join the live stream. And I'm like, all right, here's the thing. I have a set live show on Sundays that I do. Everything other than that is like impromptu. I was like, but look, I'm not going to be going live today, the 18th, because I've got some other stuff to do. And then look what happens. I'm live on the 18th. So I like lied to somebody, but it wasn't on purpose. It was truly an unintended white lie. Tried to read the power pack and it seemed All right, so here we go. There was a tidbit here that somebody dropped in. Jason drops in that Mystique says Miss Marvel 16 was, I guess, the first appearance, 17 and full appearance in 18. Okay, so maybe I need to look into that because I didn't understand that comment. That's my bad. I may be reading it incorrectly, but there's something happening with Miss Marvel 16, 17, 18 as it relates to Miss Marvel, maybe a cameo followed by a full appearance. So maybe we need to dig into that one just a little bit more. Um, bu- 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 um, Derek says when Ebates isn't offering, yeah. Okay, there you go. So he raises an interesting point that sometimes with Ebates, they don't offer rebates on comics all the time. It depends upon the time of the year or whatever incentives they try to put in place. But I want to say today the incentive was like 2%. So 2% of anything that you purchased by going from Ebates to eBay gets kicked back to you, right? So I got 2% back, or at least I will get, I'm guessing, an award at some point here for 2% of my purchase. Plus I get a certain percentage of my eBay points as well. So it's like a double dip, but it's a double dip that we are allowed to take. And so when the opportunity presents itself, why not? Why not? Scrolling through some of the comments, does that Raw Hulk 180? Don't ruin it, bro. Don't ruin it for people. So Brian is asking me the question about the Raw Hulk 180 that I just showed in the video that was released at 3:30. He's asking, does it have the Marvel value stamp? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So I have 2 copies now of both Hulk 180 and 2 copies of Hulk 181. The 180s are both slabbed. 1 copy of 180 is slabbed on the wall in front of me. And then I have a raw copy as well that is complete with the Marvel value stamp. As you guys remember, I'm a big fan of, I only buy, if I can, complete books. I don't do books with missing pages or clippings or any of that other kind of stuff. Tears, I don't care about tears, but anything removed from the book, I don't buy. All right, so scrolling down, James Tomlinson, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you, my friend. Scrolling through, Have No Fear says, my town in the UK just got a local comic shop, which is really cool. Congrats on that. He says he'll go down tomorrow to see if he's getting the new House of X and Power of 10 books. So I actually am getting multiple copies of both books. Good. Well, first I would say good luck. Hopefully he or she who runs the shop will be getting the books in because it's like the hot thing. I couldn't imagine a shop not getting it, but the UK may move at its own pace. But I'm actually getting probably 4 copies. I think I'm gonna do 4 copies of both books moving forward because I want to make sure that with all these first appearances and all this crazy stuff that's happening, I actually cover myself and I actually get hopefully high grade books. That's the goal. Not trying to hoard, but it's more about I want to make sure that I get high grade books. And if I get multiple copies, then I can improve my chances of that. So there you go. Really thought Daredevil 1 would come down after. No way. No way. Connecting Comments was saying here that he thinks that Daredevil #1 would actually come down after the Netflix show was canceled. Bro, I think that TV show was so good that I think it only may serve to make Daredevil even more popular. Because I don't know that Daredevil was all that popular. Just keeping it completely honest. But I think that TV show just showed just how cool that character could be, and then the things that were happening in War of the Realms that didn't help. Right, because it also showed that this character is actually pretty darn dope and can be dope if he is written the right way. So, and then now there's the belief that Daredevil and some of the other Netflix characters will make their way into the MCU at some point. I don't think it's going to happen in this whole cosmic phase, at least for Daredevil, because he's a street level brawler. But when things come back from the cosmic, because I believe that they will, and they will come back to Earth and then possibly subterranean with some of the supernatural stuff, we could potentially see some Daredevil stuff there, or it would be in the following phase. But Daredevil, I think, is now a much, much hotter book than it has been in the past. James Tomlinson says he is grabbing X-Men 94 this week. Dope book. Dope book. X-Men 94 is a dope book. If you get a chance, pick up X-Men 98 as well. That is where we find out that Logan's claws are part of his anatomy. Two really dope books at the beginning of Chris Claremont's run. So you cannot go wrong with that. All right, scrolling down through. Here we go. Gray is saying that Avengers Annual 10 is an underrated book. That is the first appearance of Rogue. I have not read it. So I'm going to agree with you, Gray, on what you're saying about it being undervalued. But I think, if Rogue appears in a movie or something like that, I think that book will start to get some love. But that ugly cover, it's not an attractive cover. Let's be honest. That ugly cover does not help, right? It does not help at all. Gray said you can pick it up for somewhere between 20 to 50 bucks. Don't doubt that at all. Don't doubt it at all. Scrolling through comments here. Whoa, I had to get one of the Hulk 181s. Oh, facsimile cover. Ooh, I thought he was saying he got a Hulk 181, 9.8. I was about to lose it right there. All right, so scrolling through. All right, so we're going to run through this one more time because a lot of people that popped into the room here late. You may have to go back to watch the beginning of this video to get some of the details of this thing, because there are some other things that I mentioned outside of what I'm about to mention right now to you. But there was a book that actually dropped on New Comic Book Day. It's this book right here. It says X-Men: The Seeds of Tomorrow, Hickman's X-Men Revealed. In this book, they actually drop some wonderful tidbits that could be a sign of what is about to happen with the X-Men, what is also about to happen with X-Men related books and the MCU. There's a spread at the very back. This is the spread of the cast of characters that I believe that Jonathan Hickman is going to be leveraging for the House of X and the Powers of 10. And so many of these characters have some first appearances that I think are undervalued. We're not talking about like X-Men 1, X-Men 3, Giant Size X-Men #1. We're not talking about those books. We're talking about some other books. So let me rattle off some of the characters in the books to help you guys, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. All right. So Destiny appeared in X-Men 141. Penance appeared in Generation X #1. That is definitely a cheap book. Exodus appeared in X Factor number 92. I believe that book is relatively inexpensive. Both Emma Frost and Sebastian Shaw appeared in X-Men 129. Apocalypse appears in X Factor number 5. Who else do we have? We have Pyro in X-Men 141. We have Husk in ROM Annual number 3. Just picked that book up for a couple of bucks. The Stefford Cuckoos appeared in the new X-Men number 118. I think that's like a $3 book that I just picked up. We have Mr. Sinister in Uncanny X-Men 221, relatively inexpensive book. I picked up a slabs copy 2 weeks ago of this one, or maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago now. We have Mystique appeared in Miss Marvel number 16, and you may need to look at 16, 17, 18, because there could be like cameo, first appearance, full appearance, that kind of stuff. So look at the Miss Marvel 16, 17, 18 books to confirm which one you might want to pick up. And then the last one here is Sabretooth appeared in Iron Fist number 14. That is a handful of books that you may want to consider picking up that are X-Men related books that could potentially go up in value based upon some things that could be happening with Jonathan Hickman's upcoming run featuring the X-Men. Another book you want to maybe look at is Journey into Mystery, something related to Krakoa #1, Journey into Mystery, Krakoa #1, I think is what it is. Picked up 3 copies of that myself a short while ago. That it appears based upon this book that the X-Men may actually be based out of Krakoa. Krakoa is the living island that actually appeared in Giant Size X-Men #1. It seems like it's going to have potentially a high profile in the upcoming series that is coming out from Jonathan Hickman. So there you go. One more on the caveat here is I don't know. what is going to happen with any of these books. I'm an X-Men fan, so part of me was already picking these books up. But because I like to anticipate things and be ahead of the curve, when I found out about this news, I wanted to, one, share it with you guys, but I also wanted to make sure that my collection was as well-rounded as possible. So I went out and picked up a lot of these books already. So just FYI on that. Don't hold me accountable if you don't make any money. That's all I'm saying. TJ Watson, what's the deal with Foom 10? Because I've heard people mention that before. I honestly have never looked it up. Let me restate. I looked it up. I couldn't find the book at an affordable price, and then I gave up. So what is the deal with Foom 10? Eternal Thunder says he is super late to the live stream. Yes, you are. But the wonderful thing is that you can always go back and watch it on replay, and then you will be right up to speed, just like everybody else here. Connecting Comics, you are very welcome, my friend. Drop one of those G's in that Reggie, and we will be... All right, TJ, if you get a chance, hit me up. Let me know what this Foom 10 is, my friend, because you threw it out there and I want to make sure that people have the details that they need. Clay says that he has, is it the right ROM annual? Is it the right ROM, Clay? Is it the one that we talked about here, which is the Husk appeared in ROM annual number 3? Is that it? Matthew, you were killing it, man. You were killing it with the ASM stuff, man. You're making me jealous now. Come on. Come on, brother. Come on. Alzor is asking, what is my next theme? I don't know. That theme right now is basically all Amazing Spider-Man books, not even necessarily low number, but just some lower number Amazing Spider-Man that I had slabbed, and then on either end, I decided to go a little crazy. Over here, we have the Lobo one, which is just a dope book. And over here, we have the comic that I actually sent around the country and had signed by various YouTubers all around the country. So what will the next one be? I don't know. Maybe it'll be X-Men related, to be honest with you. I did that a short while ago, but maybe it's time to revisit it. Maybe even with some of the books that I'm talking about now, because I do have some slab copies of some of these books. So maybe the next wall in honor of the X-Men will be full of those cool books. So Lauren says Foom 10 is the black suit. No, I don't think so, because I have all of those. Oh, he says new. Oh, wait a minute. TJ is saying that Foom 10 features the new X-Men and actually predates Giant Size X-Men number 1. Maybe that's why that book was so expensive when I went to go look at it. Maybe that's why, because that Joker was not exactly cheap. Rise like, you should do an X-Men Wall of Fame. There you go. Just said it. There you go. Chris is seconding that. So maybe that's what it'll be. Maybe it'll be an X-Men Wall again. Maybe I'll try to go back and look at one of the old videos to see which X-Men books I put up there and do some that are a little bit different than those. So, because I actually, oh yeah, the Spider-Man annual number 1 has taken off, and it's taken off because of all the speculation around the Sinister Six and the fact that they may be in the next movie. I actually just reached out to a guy who I had an opportunity to buy the annual one from him before, and I had to prioritize a couple of the other low number ASMs that you guys have already seen on the channel. Just 2 days ago, I reached back out to him and was like, bro, so what's going on with that annual one? So I think I'm gonna try to snag that. So stay tuned, because you may actually see that in a video coming up very, very soon. Jay Blue, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Blue 68 is saying he has a vast X-Men collection, but he's still missing some books. Now is the time, my friend. Now is the time to snag some of those things up. Have no fear comics. Thank you, brother, for stopping by. Definitely appreciate you. He says, great live stream as usual. Love all the comic community. And don't forget, thumbs up, peeps. Thank you, brother. I definitely appreciate you hanging out with me for just a little bit. All right. Have no telepathy. It's good to see you, my friend. All right. So with that, guys, again, I wanted to just give you a heads up on some really cool stuff that appeared in this book. If you haven't had a chance to pick it up from your local comic shop, you may want to reach out to them, pick it up. I actually enjoy reading it. I think that Jonathan Hickman's run is going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. I am actually digging the artwork in this book as well. And then there's just some wonderful like anecdotes and sketches and stuff like that in here. So it's a free book from the local comic shop. If you get a chance, reach out to them, see if you can snag a copy for yourself. Every copy that I saw was beat up. This book is probably going to have no value. I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to put it back in plastic just in case. But it has multiple spine ticks, and it actually came that way with multiple spine ticks. All right. So with that, I'm going to get myself out of here. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me just a little bit. If you need to reach me, feel free to do so. Reggie Collects on Instagram and reggiecollects@gmail.com. If you need me, I am not too hard to find.